Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools in Brandon takes pride in selling the tools farmers and tradespeople rely on. Like our Winnipeg location, Brandon carries the same tools you know and love. From all the brands you can trust, all in one convenient place. And with unbeatable service, we'll make sure you get the right tools to get the job done. Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools in Brandon, proud to serve Brandon's industrial needs since 2018. Stop on by today at 358 Park Avenue East. And good evening, Buffaloes fans, and to the return of the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast here on the final day of April here in 2025 as well. So, yeah, only fitting that we do it here to end things off for this season too. Excited to be here. 31 total Buffaloes episodes have been, will be done after tonight's episode. Thank you so much for being here if you are. We're brought to you by Terrico Goaltenders, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, as well as Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. As you can tell by the guest list, quite a guest list here tonight, as we got 6 total people joining us. Gordy's going to be joining us twice here, so all in one interview, but we cut both together. The second one, he's just going to have a bit more to say as me and him go through some of the latest stuff we don't talk before in the first part of that interview. But yeah, we got the big boss of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy joining us, and Nicole Collins, 2 players, Julia Schoonbart as well as Alex Mills joining the show as they just wrapped up their first years of college and university hockey. And then Anthony Florentino makes his return to the podcast along with his new coaching partner in Trevor Baker, as he's the official new assistant coach at the U18 NEL Prep program for Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. And yeah, just to throw this out here right away, congratulations to Julia on winning the Freshman of the Year, Rookie of the Year award for Lindenwood University. We're going to hear from her later on. Didn't get a chance to ask her about that award that she ended up winning, but congratulations to Julia nonetheless on taking home that award and being recognized for her impact in her first year. Gordy Tummelson going to be joining the show first, though, here. The goaltender's owner, as well as a man that wears many hats at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, is going to be joining the show to talk about the wrap-up on ID camps, recruitment, and so much more here on the Season 2 finale of the Buffaloes podcast, on your home of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy coverage on G-Show Productions on gshow.ca. Gordy Tummelson joins the show next. Always plenty to talk about with Gordy Tummelson, and this day no different. Gordy, great to have you on the show, and great to be talking about 2 players from the academy that were named to the West Division All-Stars teams in the CSSHL. U15 and U18 prep divisions, Cole Landerville from the U15s, and then Captain Austin Polanowski from the U18s. Getting these nods, Gordy, always great to see Pilot Mound get recognition, but how huge is it to see those 2 specifically, given how huge of a role they played on their teams this season?
Well, that's amazing, and they both had great seasons. They were dream seasons for these 2 guys. Polanowski playing on Not a very good team. I mean, our U18s still haven't got reached the level of pretty good. So we're kind of still struggling there a little bit. But this guy he just rocked on all year long and scored points, made plays. He was a tremendous leader, and he has signed with Humboldt. We all know that, and he was recognized as one of the as the centerman. Both guys were recognized as centermen for the Prairie division. There's a Prairie division and a BC division in CSSHL in all the four teams that we play in, and so he was recognized as the top centerman in the league. Good on him. Just a great kid, and looking forward to seeing what his career does after he leaves us.
Oh, for sure. And both players, of course, play significant roles on their squads this season, leading the way in points. And yeah, both being, I think, welly recognized for these achievements this season. Gordy, you also had a chance to see Cole in action along with Maddox Ramage, Brett Viewers, and Gavin Hildebrand at the Hockey for All Center this past weekend for the POE tryouts, U16 age group. We talked about it a bit last week. How was it getting to see those four in action?
Well, it was super. I'll start with Cole just because we just finished with Cole and I didn't get a chance to kind of say a little bit extra, but what a season this guy's had. And I'll tell you what, the scouts that were and this the Hockey for All Center, the old Iceplex, it was just full of scouts. The locals, the Manitoba scouts, of course, they've been bragging about this kid all year to their leaders and their general managers. This being the WHL guys, et cetera, et cetera. So they've got their head scouts and they got other guys and they got people from MJHL. Everybody's in, and this guy does not fail in anything he does. I mean, he's got gadget guy arms. Gadget arms are arms that go extra, 2 feet, even though you don't think he can do that. He can do that, or his stick does that. I'm not sure. He just scores goals, makes assists, he makes passes to people that shouldn't get the pass. He shouldn't make the pass, but he gets it right to them, and we don't know how. I know I'm talking to many scouts. That's a big weekend for me to kind of my relationships with scouts is pretty big here in Manitoba. A lot of these guys are, I've been around for a long time and I know them pretty well. And to a man, they're in awe of this kid. And he kind of just la-di-da's around. I mean, he tries really hard on the ice, but you'd never know he was kind of that kind of hockey player off the ice. He's just kind of a tall, skinny guy and just goes out and plays. So Cole Landerville had a great weekend. I'll talk about his buddy Gavin Hildebrand, the goalie, because Gavin Hildebrand had to play against Cole Landerville and a game on Saturday afternoon, and Gavin's whole goal was not to be scored on by Landerville. Lo and behold, Landerville scored two, but only two. He
There you
just
go.
gets the puck. He's just so good. So I said, well, maybe Gavin, you can poison his food at the dorms this week or something and give him diarrhea or whatever. So he's going to work on that. Yeah, he's going to watch his back. But Landerville had a great weekend. Gavin had a really good, really, really strong weekend. Scouts were really impressed with him. Interesting, I spent a lot of time on the weekend watching all the games, watched some of the girls' POE, et cetera, et cetera. So it was really good for me. Talked to lots of people, parents, kids, give some cards and brochures out. That's what I'm supposed to do, I guess, when I'm out and doing these things. But at the end of the day, Gavin had a great tournament, and he and the other kids were all looked upon by the scouts as being good choices for the draft coming up. If that's the case, we never know. Landerville's a pretty and Ramage are probably. Maddox Ramage are probably the two guys that will go for sure. Boers is a giant guy, a big, thick guy from the farm, and he's just a big kid, and he's got a great attitude. And he came along from Double A, and all of a sudden he's kind of like a superstar and playing defense. He's a pretty good skater. I've always questioned his skating a little bit, but the scouts seem to think he's pretty good. And I'm okay. Well, you guys are better than I am at this, so I don't know. And so he had a great event. Again, Ramage and Landerville should go in the draft somewhere. and we think Boers will go as well somewhere. And goalies are always tough. Gavin's not holding his breath because we don't hold our breath on goalies. It's a good draft for players, and so the scouts will keep driving the defense and the forward part of this until they run out of the guys they think that are worthy, and then they'll go to goalies, which makes round 7, 8, 9 kind of a thing maybe. But Gavin had a great weekend, and he was as solid as rock. Gave up 3 goals and 55 shots, and 2 of the goals were scored by his buddies. So he just stoned everybody else in Manitoba. Good on Gavin, and good on our players for showing up big. By the way, that's a pretty good. That's 4 kids out of 18, 15. So there's a 15. What is that? 60, 120 kids. 4 of our kids were top shelf in that event on the weekend. Pretty proud of that.
Yeah, great to hear that the performances from the Buffaloes, those players, their skills on display this past weekend at the Hockey for All Center. Excited to see if these players end up making it through to the next stage of this process and seeing what happens, of course, with their names, where they may be going in the WHL draft coming up this spring.
I should jump in with one more comment. They're that good because they get the ice time. This is a sales pitch to anybody watching that's not sure about why this happens. We've got good coaches. We've got really good coaches who work on the little things and get better. The players get a gazillion hours of ice. They're on the ice to try all these things. If a player wants to get better, has a bit of hockey IQ, has a desire to be, a better player than when they showed up, they can't miss. And then you play against the competition we play against. You're playing with some decent players on our teams. And, you're playing some great players on our teams. And then you go play against these other guys. And my gosh, you can't help but be better. And so it's a great program from that aspect. Everything is geared to making these. And so they stand out. All of our kids stand out when they get there because they just got better, and a lot of surprise from scouts, and particularly on Boers. I think he was the surprise guy, a double A guy. All of a sudden, bingo, he's doing well. So I just wanted to say that I missed that recruitment moment, so I thought I'd jump in there with that. Thanks, Graham.
Yeah, of course, and a chance to see some new faces coming up this weekend on Easter weekend, as it's going to be the U17 and U18 male prep ID camps, the evaluation camps going on. First off the bat, what are the numbers looking like? I guess in general, specifically for both age groups. Doesn't matter how I guess you define it, but the turnout, what's it looking like as the early forecast heading into the weekend?
Well, as of today, 48 players attending camp. That's great.
Yeah, right on.
48
Right
guys
on.
attending camp. We've got some really good high-end kids. We've got some of our kids returning. So that's a big number for us, and hopefully we can pull some kids up, and we'll sign a few, and we'll continue to look until the end of May. I think it's usually kind of when it all comes to an end. But big numbers, lots of goalies, good goalies. Our coaches are looking forward to it. We know that our U17 goalies are looked after. We've got Yuki Kito and Gavin Hildebrand coming back from last year. So we don't have any U17 goalies in camp. We got a bunch in the U18 category. I'm pulling for my guy Barrett Hayes to return, and we think Matthew Palmer is going to move on, but we're not sure there. So we could have that one settled pretty quickly too. They're pretty good guys, but there are some extra guys coming in on that side, and then there's a whole whack of kids from all over the place coming in to so we can take a look at them. They're starting to find out about Pilot Mound being a really good place to go to, and whatnot. I've got to share. I will share an email from Mr. Sauer. You're going to talk to James, but his dad sent a wonderful testimonial on our program. I'll share that with you, maybe between shifts here for you. So, but it was a great thing, and we get lots of testimonials about our hockey program, the school, everything. It's amazing. So I'll share that, and you can post it on your website, et cetera, et cetera. It's on ours. So there you go.
Sounds good. And yeah, looking forward to that. And I'm sure Rick McConnell looking forward to being able to, potentially look at some names of potential players to fill up some spots heading into next year as his team coming off of a championship down in Penticton, BC, this past playoff run. But what's going to be the key focus, I guess, for Rick and his coaching staff, looking at this group of kids heading into camp, what they'll be looking to take away from it?
Wow. There's a few kids graduating out too. They had a younger team, as I think we said earlier on. So he's not replacing, 15 kids. I think he's replacing 7 or 8. And so he's got a bunch of kids come. And that's assuming all the kids that, can move up from U15 and the kids that can, there's all kinds of things happen between now and then, whatever then is. And so we always don't get the kids that we want back. But I think we're between the U15s and the team from last year, we've got about 15 kids. So we're only looking for maybe 5 kids on this new kids on in his program. We're looking for a bunch more, of course, for Anthony's team, Anthony Florentino on the U18s. He bumps out about 15 kids every year, so I think 13. I'm sorry. So he's got maybe 7 kids could return. And so that's a question for him and his staff there too. But Rick's got a small group to pick on, and he'll try and build another team that like he always does. He always seems to find key guys and they all have a job and they all manage. He's a really good coach, and him and Danny Carls do a great job with that team. So he's got a good program going for him there.
Yeah, and I mean, Gordy, as you just mentioned about the U18s, they'll have quite a lot of more talent to, be looking at specifically to bring in potentially at their camp this weekend alongside with the U17s. But of course, goaltending going to be a position they're looking at. But given that you're losing a good chunk of your team, if you're Anthony Florentino and this U18 staff, losing your best player as well and Austin Polanowski. How much different does it make the process for them specifically?
Well, it's really hard for them. Some of the kids in our U17 program move on further. They move on more quickly to MJ. And with the changes in the WHL rules and the university rules, there's a little bit more early movement for players. So they're moving to junior hockey maybe a season sooner. And we're not excited about that except for the kids, but we're not excited because we lose the kids. We don't get them in U18. However, that being said, the junior hockey teams in Manitoba in particular, and some of the others that we're working with, and as we grow in this sort of recruitment side of things, they're starting to pay attention, and they don't go out of their way to recommend any particular program for the most part. Most of these junior teams, but they do make sure now because of the work we're doing behind the scenes, they do make sure now that they tell the folks that, hey, if you're looking for a good program to, get your skills up and all those things up to snuff, Pilot Mound's a place you want to check out. And that's, of course, all we can ask for those kinds of teams to do. I know some of the kids, some of those guys will give us a nice pat on the back and recommendation, but it's still a lot of work to talk to the parents and the kids and come to Pilot Mound on that side of things. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. And interesting, just as going into the recruitment, if you don't mind, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
I'll just slide into that because I picked up an organization through one of my scouts in Canada out in BC. He recommended I speak to a particular group. It's called Rural One Sports Agency, RULE One, and they've got 11 family advisors. They're not a scouting organization or family advisor organization. As it turns out, I know half of the guys they know in Canada. There's an American group. They're all over the states, and they're talking to all kinds of people. So, we've just taken them on as part of our new scouting thing. So we're hoping that as for Anthony's team, things got to shake out a little differently because A lot of kids don't sign to academies until they don't make junior. And so, another season in June. Okay, well then they'll come back, or they'll connect with the academy teams that have been looking at them. So, we've got lots of scouts. I got about 25 people now, sort of searching the bushes for that, those players that maybe somebody else doesn't want or has got that kind of ability to get better, like a Polonowski in particular. I mean, he came a long way in the last 2 years in Boers. These kind of guys were not obvious guys, and yet now they're stars in their own right. So yeah, we're really kind of excited about all of this. It's I'm thrilled with the growing opportunity of finding better players for all four of our teams.
Yeah, and a chance for more players, like you mentioned, about 48 of them to come on down to Pilot Mound, Manitoba this weekend during Easter weekend to, yeah, get to, of course, skate in the Buffaloes facility at Blackjack Stewart Arena and all that great stuff that comes along with the ID camps. Gordy, we're going to dive more into recruiting next week. We're going to leave that for now for this week. Going to talk more about that as well as how this U18/U17 male prep ID camp goes this upcoming weekend in Pilot Mountain coming up for next week. Until then, Gordy, happy Easter. Wishing you and your loved ones the best, and can't wait to reconnect with you once again next week.
Always fun, Graham. Thanks very much.
Well, we brought him back for a two-parter in this finale of the Buffaloes podcast in season two. Gordy Tunnelson, been great to be joined by him all season long, and great to be joined by him another time for a second time in this finale, of course, as already mentioned. But Gordy, we'll start off with this. I guess that's already been on the show. Julia Schoonbart named Rookie of the Year at Lindenwood University for her. Obviously, I think there's a lot more to go for her to improve, but how significant is this in her first year already making an impact and recognized for it at Lindenwood?
That's huge. I mean, my gosh, Julia left us wanting in Pilot Mound. So, I could just feel and see the sort of potential in this young lady. She could never sort of drag it out. And I think, she was cut at Westman it was, I guess, well, in October 3 years ago, and it came to us, and then I think she felt pretty down. I mean, girls take these things pretty hard. I mean, guys do too, I guess, but it just shows. And being from Melita, I was able to take a little bit more sort of interest in Julia in terms of her development. I coached out there for a number of years, or at least did hockey camps out there for about 10 years. And so I knew some people in Melita. They knew Julia, the family, and they said, "Hey, can you help Julia out?" They called me up, said, "Hey, she's coming to Pilot Mound. Can you help her out?" So over for the rest of the next 2.5 years, every Tuesday that I went out there, she and I would have a video session afterwards. We'd talk on the ice during her practice, et cetera, et cetera. And she got marginally better, et cetera, but, never quite able to kind of break through and then boom, she goes to Lindenwoods and crushes it. And wait, and you just know that she's just a big, strong girl that just could be a power forward. And she didn't get as many points as I think she likes and could get because she's a pretty good point getter when she gets around the net. But nonetheless, good on her to do this. This was an amazing sort of announcement to me when she sent me the text and the award plaque, etc. It was wonderful and great to see a young lady just kind of blossom, after a lot of hard work by coaches in Pilot Mound and parents and everybody else, et cetera, in the program.
Yeah, and for Julia this season, 4 points in the 31 total games, but plenty of more room to grow. Great to hear and to see her recognized for, the impact that she made on this program this season in Lindenwood and yeah, Westman, the MFHL. Tough programs to make sometimes because of how much skill is in that league, but Julia fallen right into Pilot Mound's hands a few years ago and developing into a player that gets recognized with some hardware this season. Gordy, taking a look at the coaching staffs heading into next season, everyone looking like they're going to be back. Of course, the one change at the U18 male prep coaching staff with Trevor Baker replacing of course, former assistant coach now and Tyler Dixon. But yeah, take me through, how huge that is to have that stability for, almost all of the coaching staffs. And even adding, you could consider some great resources in Trevor Baker with his pass.
Well, Trevor's he comes multi-talented guy. I mean, my gosh, he played pro hockey in a number of leagues out east and overseas, and he's coached forever and seemed like forever in Alberta and Edmonton OHAs and assistant coach, head coach. So here's a guy that's totally familiar with the CSSHL, much unlike that Tyler Dixon was. Trevor's got this huge background in everything, and he's going to be a great resource for Anthony Florentino, who's going into his second year as head coach, third year as a coach on this team, and Trevor's going to be able to provide some guidance and some background, and I know they're both looking forward to that bit of business as well. Trevor is well connected in Alberta, and we've been looking for scouts out there forever. So not only is he going to do some scouting on his own because he knows people and players, but he's going to also give us some names that I can jump on and see if we can attract him to scout for Pilot Mound. Alberta is fluid with good hockey talent, as you well know. About a third of our teams are made up of Alberta players, and so we're we there's a whole bunch of kids that we don't get, and we'd like to get them too if they want to come here. So that'll be a great bonus for us at the same time.
No, for sure. And I think that being able to tap into that market even more is big time, given the population down in Alberta and the skill level that's down there further in Western Canada. Speaking of more congratulations, Gordy. Former U17 prep Buffalo Ashton Paul ended up winning an SJHL championship with the Melfort Mustangs. He's going to the Centennial Cup in Calgary with his Mustangs. But huge to see an alumni for Pilot Mound, going all the way and winning one, I'm sure.
Oh, that's really neat. He's the third guy from Pilot Mount Bear and Red from way back about 5 years ago, and now Ethan. I mean, this is great stuff. Seeing our kids not only win championships, but he's a leader on the team, and good for him, and good for the Paul family for that kind of success. They put a lot of hard work in and whatnot. They're certainly ambassadors for Pilot Mountain as well. So these kinds of things just they've been following our players. These kinds of championships more and successes, individual successes have been following our players more and more and more, and we're going to continue to see that grow as we go through into our 11th season come next year. So, yeah, good on Ashton to get that done.
Yeah, and of course, as we come to an end to our podcasting season here, and specifically for the Buffaloes podcast, this was the 10th season in the Academy's history, and could have made a bigger deal out of it, but the play let itself do the talking this year, I'd say, Gordy. I mean, three teams making finals appearances, one of them coming away with the championship, the U18 female group, even though they ended up falling short down there in BC. A lot of growth in that group this season with, players that are going to return. Same with all of these programs having that potential. As we're into the recruiting season, we've talked about so much in terms of recruiting, but yeah, just take us through what, the summer months specifically are going to look like in terms of trying to get this program better, given that this academy has more resources to work with than ever now.
Well, it's yeah, the resources are growing and there's more of them. I'm going to mention we hope to be able to announce our foundation which is a charitable foundation to help out in the community. It's another resource for our organization. We expect that to happen sometime over the summer, and we again we'll be having to wait on that. But if that occurs, that'll be a great addition for the whole hockey community in southwestern Manitoba. As far as the rest of the summer goes, the next couple of months are critical for our teams. The U15s, the U17 boys, and the U18 girls should probably wrap up their signings in that period. The U18 males, though, they get stuck with having to wait a lot of times for the better players to come free. In that junior hockey camps happen, and some of these kids don't want to sign somewhere and then have to kind of come back with and say, "Hey, I made the team," so they don't want to put out the deposit and do those kinds of things, and we understand that. Um, on the other hand, it's not a bad idea to put the deposit in case you don't make the junior team, uh, because there might not be a spot for you in the meantime. So there's that kind of flex going on with this with that age group. So it's a wait and see for them. But Anthony's been through it now once. Trevor's been through it a few times in that team. So we know what the scuttlebutt is. We'll figure all that out. So yeah, signings will happen for the most part by the end of June. And then the U18 male team should be able to wrap things up. No, they won't wrap things up until maybe just as junior camps start or finish late August, early September.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing what all of these teams are going to look like next year. But specifically the U18 group, Scored, seeing what type of talent the female coaching staff will add. Maybe they add some more scoring punch. I know that's been something we've talked about so many times. And then for the U18 male group, they turned out a lot of good players this year. Of course, some notable talent leaving, but that just means there's going to be opportunity for someone else to step up next season. Really, it's great to be a part of this, Pilot Mountain team. I guess being a podcaster for you guys, Gordy, given that things are at an all-time high right now, and looking to even improve at Pilot Mountain with the dorms being there now, Blackjack Stewart Arena being a great facility, and every single team, getting better year in and year out. It seems like just by the results this year that's in the proof for sure. But yeah, as we wrap things up here, Gordy, for another season of the Buffaloes podcast, and we look back on this year, some final words from yourself.
Well, thanks, Graham. First of all, thank you to you. 31 of these shows, that's a lot of commitment on somebody's part. And you've done a great job of getting these things out every Wednesday morning for the most part. There's been some fun times that it didn't happen, but nonetheless, that's technology, and we're all learning. But this has been great for us. Great to get our message out, and I know lots of people listen and watch, and we use these now as part of these shows as part of our recruitment program. We pick them off, and the coaches pick the right ones and say, "Hey, listen to this person." It's a girl talking on the thing. And I think we've got a couple of girls coming up in this show, Julia and Alex Mills, a goalie who's done some nice things down in Colorado. We've got Trevor Baker and Anthony coming up as well. So great on you to help us get to where we are. It's all part of the team thing. I got to thank Nicole and Carson McConnell for allowing me to do this every week along with you and be involved in the recruitment program and the other marketing plans that we have. Got to thank our interviewees who come on and are nervous and they're kids but they get some experience and then they really enjoy it and it's fun and you don't ask too many tough questions and that's a good thing. But it's all been great and we look forward to being even better at this with maybe some more gimmicks and techniques and videos and things as we grow in this program. But thanks very much. I really appreciate all the work you do and the support from the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. Looking forward to the rest of a nice summer and back at it in August.
Oh, for sure, Gordy. And Thank you for always coming on and giving our viewers the great insight as you have all season long into small town Pilot Mound and Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. Can't wait to see what next season brings, as I've already said. And thank you for the kind words. Can't wait to do this again with you many more times next season when, yeah, we'll see what's in store then for this Pilot Mound Hockey Academy program.
Thanks, Graham.
And Gordy Tummelson for the final time this season, joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Of course, lots of great stuff still ahead in this one, but yeah, as Gordy said, the season, basically that it was a lot of success this year for everyone down in Pilot Mound, and yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Three of these four programs ended up making it to finals appearances. The U17s, of course, coming away with the championship, and there's also a lot of great stuff that Pilot Mound has been able to do and continue to do here now after I guess their 10th season is pretty much in the books now, as it was Pilot Mound's 10-year anniversary, and a big part of their 10-year anniversary this year was of course Nicole Collins being there once again as the general manager of Pilot Mound, the head of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, and had a chance to speak with her earlier in season two. Great to have a chance to speak to her again here on this season two finale. Nicole joins the show in a pre-recorded interview from last week that we were going to use in a previous episode, but decided to just combine everything into one big old season two finale. Gonna be great to hear from her coming up next year on the Buffaloes podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. But before we throw it to that interview with Nicole, we're gonna throw it to one of our sponsors for a quick message. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. And it's the head of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and Nicole Collins joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Nicole, Pilot Mound saw quite a bit of success this season, especially down in BC in the playoffs. The U17s coming away with their second ever championship. U18 male program, U15 male prep program also making it all the way to the finals, while the female U18 prep team gave a heck of a fight in their three games that they played. And just got to start off with, yeah, how much pride does that give, you and everyone else in the academy seeing how things ended up for these teams?
For sure. And really, it reminds me of Graham when you and I talked at the start of the season and we were excited for what the season was going to bring and how each team was going to present itself. And it did work out pretty much like we talked about. Having three out of our four teams in the championship finals was huge. That was a proud mama moment for me, for all those student athletes out there. And could have brought home three championships. Very proud to bring home one for sure. And some really happy boys. And the girls team could have done it too. Their season has been, like we had talked about, they're 1 goal away, 1 to 2 goals away each game from taking a win. So some ups and downs for that team, but they never stop trying on the ice. They are actually really fun to watch, that they have a ton of grit out there and they never quit.
Yeah, and we saw that no quit attitude many times from all of these teams in the academy this year. Given that it was the academy's 10th year as well, and given that, coming out of the pandemic, there were struggles at the start. But since we've moved further from there, yeah, tell me about, how much pride goes into that, knowing that this academy is truly on that right track of finally seeing more wins falling their way.
For sure. And 10 years is huge. That's a milestone for us. Like you said, COVID was tough for a lot of academies. We had a really steep incline and then COVID hit and we kind of tanked after, the last championship, like most academies, and had to rebuild a bit and reset. And like I say this year, we fixed our house, meaning that we are resettled. We've got our operations in order. The dorms are now functioning really, really well. Kids love being in there. And so then we can now focus on that hockey development side of things and start to build our teams. And I think we're starting to show that with the successes we had this year, and the wins that we brought forward. And our recruiting for next year is starting to build on that as well. And we'll just keep moving up.
Yeah, and I mean, in these past few seasons, we've seen a lot of high-end, top-end talent over at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy as well. Obviously, something that the academy and any team wants to continue to attract is that top-end talent. But how much more easier do you feel like that could make it to knowing that this academy's starting to win more, knowing that that could potentially attract more high-end talent to small-town Pilot Mound?
For sure. And it is. I'd say we're on the map. People are talking about us across the country into the US, Europe, Japan. We've got lots of kids and interest coming from all over. And what's interesting actually in the last few days of potentially losing some of our top end players to other academies. So I'll take it as a compliment that we're now at the stage that other people want to steal our kids. So we want to keep them and continue to develop them. But we know that we are now a force to be reckoned with across the country. So that's a positive thing. And we'll keep on that train for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the silver lining of that, like you said, of teams wanting to still Pilot Mound's players, meaning that Pilot Mound doing a lot of the good things right. But it wasn't just on the ice where the Buffaloes were having impacts this year. Of course, many fundraising initiatives were happening this year, whether it was to cancer or to food banks. A lot of great stuff that these kids ended up contributing this season to the academy and their efforts in fundraising and helping out in the community. You've talked about the pride you've had already in terms of just seeing the success these teams had out on the ice. How much of a warm feeling does it give you knowing that they were also able to give back to their community as well?
Absolutely. And so as you know, the league is about academics and hockey, and we have a third element of citizenship that we are dedicated to creating good humans. And it fills my heart every day to watch those kids do what they do. They spent days baking cookies and cupcakes for the cancer awareness weekend and spent all weekend selling their wares, and they were really proud of that. So absolutely some of those fundraising community give back initiatives, as well as all of the volunteering that they do in the community. And it's part of our academic and citizenship programs that they do give back. And it goes with their course load as well as them being a student athlete. So 3 days a week, for example, our kids go to the lodge and play cards, bowling, bingo, etc. with the residents there, and the residents wait all week for that experience, and the kids love it too. They come back with stories and they're getting to know individuals and their life stories, and that creates the connection with the community that we had wanted. And everybody looks forward to that experience, as well as participating in minor hockey and can skate programs and the skills development programs and helping with PD camps and all the other things that the student athletes participate all year in, that they are a true presence in the community. Everybody knows who they are, and that definitely warms my heart that they can walk down the street with a smile on their face, say hi to people, know who they are, and know that they are part of Pilot Mound and part of that population. And at the same time, again, becoming a good human. So we're doing good things.
Yeah, and I think that that's huge, especially in a smaller community in Pilot Mound, to have those type of community ties and to reward the students for this too. Through not only their academics but through the volunteering stuff. I think that's a great incentive on Pilot Mound's part. But you talked about PD camps. That's not what was happening this past weekend for the past few weeks, but it's been identification camps at Pilot Mound as teams continue to search for talent to fill their rosters. I heard there were over 50 participants this past weekend at the U18 and U17 male prep camps. Yeah, take me through those. I assume another successful year of ID camps for Pilot Mound.
For sure. Every year it gets more interest. This past weekend was likely our smallest just because a few other academies were having their camps at the same time. So we need to coordinate that differently next year. But it was a really good weekend, lots of good talent coming for all four teams over the last month. And we're able to secure some prospects out of that camp, as well as prospective student athletes come and visit us throughout the week. If they can't make the camp. So what we do differently, we think, than other academies is that homegrown community experience. So you come for the entire weekend and you do learn what it's like to be a Buffalo and a citizen of Pilot Mound. We have meals, workouts, ice times, games, all of those types of typical ID camp stuff. But what we do a bit differently is that come to the dorms, have a meal with us. All the meals are included in the ID camp weekend. They tour the school. We utilize the theater in the multiplex to do our orientation so they get a feel of the different types of opportunities for recreation in the community, access to the shooting bays, those kinds of things, a little bit of downtime so they can explore the community and, go to the bake shop and buy some goods and do that kind of stuff. So we do our best to engage in the community and have everybody participate in whatever's available over the weekend. And that helps to sell the program. We find that as soon as, because we are remote, I get that, not everybody knows or likes a rural setting. But as soon as they come and walk in our doors, then people are sold. They want to be part of it. So that's exciting to see those faces light up when they see what we have to offer.
Yeah, and at this point, too, Pilot Mountain is such a great place given that their facilities are at an all-time high about how great they truly do look right now. Great to also hear that. I believe I saw one of the age groups of the AAA Buffalo program ended up taking home gold this past weekend at the Northern American Hockey Classic. All taking place all over the province. I mean, I thought maybe it was just at the Hockey for All Center, but we saw games in Stonewall, rinks like East End. But yeah, how much joy does that give you just knowing that we were able to see so much success from those teams as well as a gold medal taken home?
For sure. And that one, it's a fun group for sure. There's lots of teams, and I was there this weekend in multiple arenas throughout the city and outside, as you say, and there is Buffalo's logos absolutely everywhere. The parents have them, the kids have them, little brothers have them, and those kids are so excited to be a Buffalo. And it's so that's the great part of getting our brand out there and getting that excitement, but also it's really interesting to watch that age group of kids play because it's full ice. So, you take a kid who's played half ice all year and now they move into full ice and they, at that age, U7, U9, U11, creating space on the ice, passing, learning to play with each other, fine-tuning hockey IQ even at that small age and learning what it's about and then like you say getting a few wins is exciting and watching the little guys come out with the big chain necklace that they got player of the game with the big Buffaloes logo and those kids are living their best life and it I'm very proud of that program and the Nathan, the coordinator who's built it to be what it is. And yeah, that's some really happy kids all over that are part of it. So that's a really nice leg of what we offer. And also, it exposes that age group to what prep could be in the coming years. And those, for some of those kids, that's their life goal is to build into being a prep player. So starting young and being a true Buffalo and part of the herd is pretty cool when you're 5, 6, 7 years old.
Right, and I think, yeah, I mean, getting to compete in tournaments like this, wearing a Buffaloes jersey, like you said, giving them a taste of what could potentially be coming at the prep level, another fantastic thing that Pilot Mound's been able to do. You wrap up, of course. I mean, the year's still going on, but another hockey season as you as the head of the academy. You'll be going into another one next season. We've talked many times about I guess the big goals, the big picture of what you've wanted to accomplish. Seems like, there's been a lot of efforts in terms of accomplishing that, in terms of one of your big goals of getting this team's name out and, the relevancy of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. Looking back at this year, how would you say, this team is at or where this academy is at in that goal, in that process?
We're in a really good place. In opening day last August, one of the owners had indicated in, the speech to the parents that we think we've got it pretty much perfect, and I think we're still there for sure. Where I think we're moving to next season is more towards that enhancing the hockey development side, the skills to game, hockey IQ, fine tuning skills, so that we know we've got a good operational space now. We know we provide an opportunity without distraction. We've got great dorms, great food, fantastic staff that's there to support the student athletes. So now we're going to focus on taking that hockey development, which always been great, but now that's our focus. We're moving it to that next level to develop hockey players. And that starts now in the spring development session. So lots of student athletes go out to camps and they're gone for a while in all academies. And what we do is, and some take their ice out, but we have our ice until June. So they're on the ice, they're in the gym, and they move to heavy lifting and they move to endurance and all the things that are going to get them to the next level of peak physical performance for next season. So that's our focus in the spring, along with letting them have some more fun and freedom. The golf course is open, the ball diamonds are open, participating in multi-sport at the school. Every student athlete's required to do track and field, which, some roll their eyes, but that means that that is all part of our strength and conditioning program, as well as multi-sport. And they learn really quickly that they may have been in shape for hockey, but they weren't quite in shape for track. So the first couple of weeks are pretty tough, but it's purposeful. Track is huge benefit for hockey. And yeah, so that all that stuff is happening right now in spring development. And then, especially for those returning student athletes, and then they'll have a fulsome, everyone, whether you're new or returning, will have a stringent strength and conditioning program over the summer. And then when they come back to join us in late August, it's go time. And we get on the ice and we start building athletes. So we're excited.
Right on, and yeah, I think very important. I believe me and Gordy Tumbleson actually talked about this last week, but the importance of being a two-sport athlete helps build the overall athlete. The best, arguably. But I guess I'll leave you off with this. You talked about up in the development side of things, for the hockey development side of things. Does that also include potentially upgrading the technology in terms of the film side? I know that there's different types of platforms that different teams use, but is there going to be anything that the academy is going to be using from, I guess, a film standpoint to help break down film better moving forward?
So we do have either Instat or TPE are the main video analysis software, and we use that already. So every student athlete has their own account. They can break down their own video. But yes, that will also be part of that, whether it's going to be on the ice as well as off the ice education. Most of our teams do a ton of video review already, so fine tuning that to make sure it's value add. It's efficient. It's all those kinds of things that you need to do to get ready to play, as well as a bit more off-ice education on what hockey IQ is and hockey development and proper. We have good nutrition, but educating them in what that means to fuel your body, what that means to hydrate and rest, and because they're teenagers, everybody wants to stay up late, but helping them understand that actually good rest will make you perform better the next day. So all that does happen now, but it'll be a bit more purposeful and tying back to performance on the ice and success. So, streamlining that program a bit and building it out. And on the video side too, working with the league on enhancing flow flow hockey and, our game coverage and how can we break down that in real time during games and those kinds of things. So we're exploring those technologies to, yeah, just enhance that whole hockey development experience.
Yeah, and I mean the experience already starting to pick up at Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. So much buzz around all four teams this season, and we were excited to be a part of all of it in terms of the coverage. Nicole Collins, Governor slash General Manager of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, taking the time out of her busy schedule and joining us here on the second last episode of season 2 here on the Buffaloes podcast. Nicole, thanks again for taking the time, and we'll catch up soon enough next year again.
Thanks so much, Graham. Always a pleasure.
Great to be joined by Nicole Collins here on the season 2 finale of the Buffaloes podcast. And yeah, excited to see how that plan, of theirs for next season comes to fruition of continuing to build and grow Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. And yeah, this season I think it's yeah, a great challenge for next year too in terms of, well, if you want to do better than you did this season as a team, or I guess last season now compared to next season, well, three of those programs making it to championships. That next step would be to bring home a championship, of course. Always tough to get there, so we'll have to just wait and see what's in store for Pilot Mound Hockey Academy and their four programs coming up next season. But before we get into our next interviews here, where we're going to be welcoming in some alumni talent that played for the U18 female prep program not that long ago at this point. But yeah, I just want to get into some congratulations to, well, this guy, Ashton Paul, who me and Gordy talked about a bit, but captured a Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League championship with the Melfort Mustangs. They're heading to Calgary to compete against other teams similar to that skill level that all qualify for the Centennial Cup coming up soon. And then another congratulations to Keelan Holland over in the Keystone Junior Hockey League over here in Manitoba, where it's great to see that recognition here. He had himself a big time playoff performance, winning playoff MVP, 24 points in 10 games played. Him and his OCN Storm are going to be heading to the Central Canada Cup to compete in that tournament, as they'll be competing against the best of the best in this junior hockey category coming up. Congratulations to Keelan as well as to Ashton on their phenomenal achievements. As for Julia Schoonbart, she ended up winning Rookie of the Year this year as a part of Lindenwood University. Didn't have a chance to ask her about that specifically, but had a chance to kind of get into the award that Alex Mills ended up being recognized with, which was not really an award, but being recognized to an all-rookie team this season. I had a chance to ask them what their first years at university were like. A bit different between both of them, which is interesting here, but great to hear it's positive experiences for the two former female prep Buffaloes all around. Julia Schoonbart, former forward, and former goaltender Alex Mills join the show next. Two university players slash college players living out their dreams. Head coach of the Pilot Mound Hockey, Colorado State University goaltender Alex Mills, and also her former teammate and now Lindenwood University forward and Julia Schoonbart joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Girls, great to have you on the show and great to be speaking to you both after some success this season. We'll start off with you, Alex, putting up some great numbers in your first year over at Colorado State. Take me through what your first year university experience was like from, I guess, a hockey perspective and the whole experience in general.
Yeah, well, I went kind of started off because I really didn't know anything about this hockey program, to be honest. I had pretty minimal um contact with the coach and they switched coaches prior before the season started. So I really wasn't sure what it was going to look like, especially coming in as a freshman. And goalie, you don't
Right.
typically expect to play very much. So I went to like the prospect camp and everything and met the people. I decided, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and like continue my plan to play. And yeah, I was very happy with the amount of ice time I saw this year. Quite a bit, which surprised me once again as a freshman. Um, yeah, I think I played pretty good. I will say I wasn't sure what this league was gonna look like as far as like skill and everything. So I was a bit like nervous at the start, but I think I just kind of went in with a good amount of confidence and um was happy with my team. It was kind of got a little bumpy and everything after a bit, but um yeah, I would say it's a lot more chill than Pilot Mound, being on the ice 5 days a week, and we only practiced like 2 days a week and had like a team workout once a week as a whole group. So that was definitely a bit of a change for me, um, as far as intensity. But I think that kind of gave me a little more time to try to focus on academics and kind of have the other experiences here, um, as well. Um, but yeah, I would say it was pretty chill most of the year and everything. I don't know.
No, right
Um,
on. Right
but
on.
yeah, I'm really happy with how the season went as my like as far as being a freshman and getting started here in this league. I'm happy and I felt like I played really confident throughout the season and really focused on the things that me and Gordy had worked on a lot last year, and took that um, into this year. I was in contact with him a bunch talking about like my games and stuff. So yeah, I'm happy and I kind of want to just tweak it even more next year. And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, your numbers were very strong in their first year. You started off your season 5-0. Of course, like you said, some bumps along the way.
yeah,
Finished your
yeah,
season strong at that. So I think going to be very exciting to see what next year brings for you, Alex. For you, Julia, getting to play on Lindenwood, a team that struggled to find wins this season, but also had a few big ones down the line. For you in your first year of university experience, what was that like being able to rep Lindenwood University and be able to play for them this year?
It's been really awesome here at Lindenwood. I really love the team. I like the girls that I get to play with, and I feel like it's a lot of hard work. Like, we're on the ice every day, 5 days a week, usually play 2 to 3 games on the weekend. So, like, we're always going, but it's like we have a good team supporting each other and, like, really wanting everyone to thrive. Joining the team as a freshman, there was only 4 of us coming in, so there's a lot of, like, older girls, more experienced in the college level, so I wasn't really sure on what my ice time was going to look like, but I got pretty good ice time, and our team faced a lot of adversity this year, so it was like all about stepping up when other people were falling down, kind of thing, and just kind of taking their spot when they weren't able to play for themselves with like injuries and like academic trouble. So it was just all about like being ready to fill in for your teammates, stepping up on and off the ice.
Yeah, and obviously, going through adversity like that, if you're able to come out of that with a good positive mindset, it could make you a better player in the long run, right? How would you say that? I guess Alex kind of spoke about her experiences at Pilot Mound, the work she did with Gordy. For you, Julia, specifically, with your time down in Pilot Mound, how do you feel like that helped you through your first year of navigating the university landscape, like you said in your freshman year?
I think that Pilot Mound really helped me because I knew what it was like to be a student athlete, to be on the ice every day and be traveling, but still keeping up with your academics. Like, this year, I was able to maintain a 4.0 my first semester, and then still in good standing to have a 4.0 this semester again. So that's like really good. And I think that being on the ice every day, it's like practice makes perfect, like working hard, getting the reps in makes you a better player. Being in the gym makes you faster on the ice, makes you stronger on the ice. So just doing every step helps you become a better player and helps you be more prepared for like the next game, the next time you're on the ice.
Yeah, and that's great to hear that you're keeping up well academically, and also were able to enjoy your experience on the ice this season. For you, Alex, you spoke about how this season was a bit more chilled and laid back for yourself, but yeah,
Definitely.
dive more into, I guess, the university side of things, the school side of things for your first year at
Yeah.
Colorado, navigating that.
I will say, because I mean, as much as like Julia said, coming from like the academic athlete type thing, I will say, um, going into university, no parents, no dorm parents yelling at you to get your work done. Like the professors aren't going to be like on you if you don't turn something in. So it's kind of just like a lot more self discipline to be able to like do everything you got to do. So I will say I kind of struggled with that a little bit, especially that first semester, kind of all this like even more like so freedom and whatnot. And I kind of just a little all over the place, I will say. So definitely gotta do a little better about that next year now that I kind of understand how like the university life is. And but yeah, I definitely think that was hard coming from like such a like schedule, like where everything's just lined up for you every day. I'm like, hmm, should I study? Probably. I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. So, yeah, no, I will say I was a little all over the place, but obviously, kind of hockey, you got to keep certain GPA to be able to play. So I kind of think um, that just needs to kind of be the extra encouragement to get your work done so you can go play. Um, but yeah, I will say it was quite the year, but overall, pretty pretty good. Just trying to make it through the last couple of weeks here with finals, honestly.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, the whole aspect of university and just how there's more, I guess, personal responsibility. It's definitely
hmm
a change for sure. But yeah, I feel
it
like,
is.
once you get that first year under your belt, it's not as bad. But
Yeah,
you had a chance to enjoy, of course, as your record showed success. This Colorado State University team had a lot of success this season.
yeah.
What was that like, being able to not only come in and have experience yourself, but see what it takes to for a team like this to have success at that next level?
Well, like you said, we started out pretty good. Like I wasn't able to play our first game because I was hurt, but coming in, just getting to like play as a freshman and get those wins, I felt really good because I was like, obviously, I'm new here. The other two goalies, they were juniors this year, so um, I was kind of the newbie. They weren't like they don't know how I play and everything, so I really wanted to get off to like a good start and like kind of earn my spot playing. So I will say it it was just kind of taking a little time, but we started off really good. Um, and I kind of slowly got my confidence there, and I think I really just kind of pretty much thrived. I would say I thrived on the ice this year. I was really, really happy with my play. And I kind of didn't really get to play a lot of my second part of the season because I kind of needed to stop and like focus on the school aspect. But I was very happy that my performance the first half of the year was enough to, you know, keep good standing as far as my ranking and make like rookie team. I was very surprised about that. But just kind of needed to work hard every time at practice, and I just going in, I just kind of felt like I have something to prove and got to earn my spot. So yeah,
No, for sure. And congratulations on making that rookie team. I was trying to confirm it on the website, but it didn't have it exactly updated. So yeah,
yeah.
very
I'm
nice.
not sure how that was. I didn't even know I made it. I just got texted. Congrats. I'm like, am I in trouble? So
Well, great. It was good news for sure. And
yeah,
I mean, For your team, Julia, it was some great news to end off the season. You know, a team that went through so many losses this year, but then played against Robert Morris University in the last few games and came away with back-to-back wins against them. Would you say, from a play perspective, that that was maybe the highlight of the season, knowing that this team went through so many struggles to finish off with some of their best hockey of the season?
Uh, Yeah, I would say that it's just like it's all about the hard work, and like wins really help reward us for the hard work that we put in, just because like the game stats might not show the hard work you're putting in, like you're still working for it and all that. So I think that wins really help show the hard work that you're putting in, and sometimes it can be hard to like want to keep going when you're not getting recognized for your success, but like when you get acknowledged for it, it feels really good, and it's kind of just like a push into next season, and it's feels really rewarding with like the people you've been working hard with all year round.
You spoke about how this year's team, you know, there were very few freshmen on it. Given how the season went, do you feel like, you know, this was a good season for your development from the sense that you were that younger player, but given how things rolled out, you were able to get a lot more opportunity compared to maybe other programs that have older teams?
Yeah, I think it's great as a freshman to be able to get a lot of experience, because if you're sitting on the bench, you kind of get a little bit discouraged. It's hard to like stay in the mindset and stay driven to like keep working, as much as like being an athlete, you do that anyways. But it really helped being able to play and being able to practice what being able to put what I practice into games, and just being able to see progress within a game standpoint rather than just seeing progress like in practice.
Right. Yeah. And I think the more reps you get, the more opportunity you get to actually play at that level definitely helps big time through that development. Before we move into our last few questions here, I mean, I asked Alex about what the school side, the university aspect experience of it was. You know, you spoke about how the GPA was holding up, but I guess from a life experience standpoint, what that first year was like, experience in life out in the States in Lindenwood.
Yeah, I will say, like, coming in, like, academically, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to, like, study and do. So I was like, oh, perfect, I got this figured out. And I kind of like struggled a little bit with a couple of the classes I took. And I was like, okay, wow, this is a little different from high school. I'm in this like giant lecture hall. And I will say, it can be hard, like, especially some days, like getting out of bed and going to class. So, especially because, are they going to know if you're not there?
Right.
Probably not. So, I would say that was a lot different and kind of starting to figure things out. Like, I think I'm gonna change my major now, because to something completely different. Because I'm like, maybe that's not what I want to do. And I feel like it was really just a learning year, as far as it's okay to make mistakes and not know exactly what you're gonna do academically and in these like next stages of your life. So I think it was really just like a learning year for me of like what it takes to like be successful here, between both hockey and just academically and overall, being in university. So I think, um, yeah, I think basically just a learning year, and going into next year, I'm kind of just gonna take some of these things and kind of just be more disciplined so I can thrive a bit more. But it was an experience, I would say, for sure. And I am just word vomiting.
Oh,
But
no worries. No worries.
yeah, this
Uh,
year was just such a crazy long year that I'm just like, what happened?
yeah.
It's kind of crazy that it's almost over. I almost made it through freshman year. I feel like I just graduated. So
No,
yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, pretty big past 2 years for both of you. I mean, graduating out of a program to go into new programs and given everything that comes with the university lifestyle slash college lifestyle. It's a lot to take in for sure. For you, Julia, I mean, outside of playing hockey, how would you, I guess, not rate your experience, but how would you kind of chalk up your experience this year academically? Like you said, had a strong year in the classroom, but yeah, what that first year of university lifestyle was like for you?
Well, the one thing that was really hard was we do morning practices, so it's up at 5 a.m. in the morning. So it's a lot of like, so you have the rest of your day to do your homework kind of thing, but you also want to have an early bedtime. So I feel like it's a lot of like logging hours in the library, doing homework in the evening kind of thing, doing your classes before, going to classes before that, being consistent with going to classes. It's really like encouraging at Lindenwood to want to go to class because there's only like from 8 people in your class to 30 people maximum. So like your professor does notice if you're missing, and I think that like because they notice like if you need help in some areas, like because you're on the road with athletics, like they notice that you were in class when you were on campus. So I think that trying to like create a relationship with your professors and kind of being personable and your professor knowing your name really helps like motivate you to want to do good in school and motivates you to want to show up to class. So that's kind of like where my academics thrived, is because I felt like it felt similar to being in a classroom at Pilot Mound. It felt similar to being in high school kind of thing, just harder content.
Well, for sure. And yeah, from how you're describing it, sounds very similar to what you had a chance to experience for the past few years prior. And yeah, always great to know that your teachers take a big interest in, what you're doing and what they're teaching. But both of you have kind of hinted towards, just focusing on, I guess, more consistency heading into next year. Would that be, I guess, you two, your big goals heading into next year is just to continue to improve, but also continue to find that consistency. Alex, you could start off this one.
Yeah, I definitely need some more consistency next year, trying to like just overall with like a schedule and like sleep, I would say is my biggest thing I need to do next year because my sleep cycle is like non-existent right now. Because I think it's just so easy to stay up all night and like sleep all day, which when you have those like late classes and stuff. So I think just overall consistency, making sure, going to class because clearly my classes are a little bigger than Julia's as far as lecture halls and all that. So yeah, just consistency and kind of trying to find kind of a schedule for myself because I've been all over the place. So I think that would be the biggest thing for both my academic success as well as hockey, of course. Got that schedule, especially since we don't practice as much as Julia's team, only 2 times a week, and together in the gym only once. So kind of self-discipline again, making sure I'm going to the gym on my own or with teammates outside of our group thing, just to kind of self-discipline, stay consistent there, because one day a week is probably not all I'm needing if I'm playing hockey at this level. So yeah, kind of just getting the grasp for the schedule and how life looks here, I'd say.
Oh, for sure. And that's why I think those first years of anything always huge, right? Getting yourself familiarized with it. For you, Julia, what's your big goals? I guess what you're hoping to accomplish heading into next year, maybe as a whole, as a team, or maybe just from a personal perspective as well.
I think like obviously consistency is really important, but I feel like Pilot Mound has prepared me to like kind of know how to be consistent and like balancing the hockey wise. I think more my thing is just working on my confidence on the ice and in the dressing room within the team. Like as a first year player, it can be a little bit intimidating with like people older than you, but like I want to start stepping up next year like off the ice as a leader and kind of just like working hard, leading by example, and just having the confidence on the ice to like make certain plays and do certain things, and like just like puck confidence with the puck and just all those kind of things instead of being as timid as I was like in Pilot Mound and in college. I think that I've grown a lot, but I also believe that I'll never like stop growing and want to consistently grow as a more confident player and consistently get better.
Right, and I think that's a great way to put that into perspective is knowing that you can always get better, no matter how good you may be right now. Julia, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time out of, I'm sure what's a busy time for both of you, heading into the final few weeks of the university school year. Best of luck in year two with both of your programs for you, Julia, at Lindenwood, and for you, Alex, down at Colorado State.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Julia Schoonbart, Alex Mills joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, the season 2 finale on your home of Pilot Mound Hockey Academy coverage on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Great to hear from two former Buffaloes now, although they're their first years, both of them, their first years of post-secondary hockey. Both look a bit differently. Of course, Alex's team has more success on the scoreboard, but she talked about, of course, the struggles about just adjusting to the lifestyle and all that. And for Julia, while her team went through a lot of struggles, but ended off the season strong and seemed like for Julia, the experience pretty smooth for her to transition over all the way to play now university hockey with Lindenwood University, as of course already mentioned. But congratulations again to her on winning Rookie of the Year this year. Top freshman in the ACHA to number 91 in Julia Schoonbart. Pretty cool number as well to wear number 91. Dig that for sure. But coming up next, our final interview of season 2 here on the Buffaloes podcast until we see you all at the start of next season as Anthony Florentino makes his return to the Buffaloes podcast, as well as newly appointed assistant coach in Trevor Baker, who comes from OHA, has dealt with their U18 program. And funny enough, I have a second job outside of the many jobs I guess I have, and Trevor Baker actually works for the same company as I work for. So, yeah, I do some social media work for MCN Sports Advice, and Trevor's one of their scouts. He does a lot of great work there, and no doubt his expertise is going to be very appreciated and valued, I think, especially in that first year with Pilot Mound as he looks to make an impact. Enjoy this interview coming up with both Trevor and Anthony as they actually joined me last night not too long ago. Head coach of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy Buffalo's U18 prep program, and Anthony Florentino, as well as new assistant coach joining the program, and Trevor Baker. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this edition of the show. It's our final edition of the year, and yeah, what a season it was for the U18s, Anthony. I mean, from where this group was prior seasons to, putting up the amount of wins they did this year, which was 8 in CSSHL play, of course, falling short in the finals to a good Coeur d'Alene Hockey Academy team. But yeah, I had you on the show earlier this year. Aspirations, expectations were high. How proud are you overall of how this group was able to finish things off this season?
Yeah, no, it's they competed to the end. Um, I guess the thing I'm most proud of is the growth within each guy, um, whether it's just on or off the ice. The growth within the group as a whole. I'm proud of that. Uh, I think I mentioned it last time I was on that it's not necessarily about wins and losses. It's about the development of the players, and we had guys that you know more than doubled their points from the year before. Uh, we had a kid from Regina signed with a team in New Mexico in one of the top junior leagues in the states. Um, we kids from all over that are probably going to stay over here now because of the year that they had. So I'm proud of them every day. Champions or not, it is what it is. But I think they all grew as individuals on and off the ice, and um, for a coaching perspective, that's all I can ask for. They put the work in every day, a lot of ups and downs, and they never quit. So they showed up every game. Even the games where it's tough for us and down a bunch, they never quit. So overall, I'm really proud of them and excited to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, and you're right about that. A lot of players had great seasons. You know, this team had European talent that came over and really found their footing in this league. And of course, they're going to get opportunities at that next level potentially for sure. And I mean, looking at this team heading into the postseason, faced off against some really good talent, came in on a losing streak, but, you know, getting off to three straight wins in British Columbia, Summerlin and Penticton, and making it all the way to the final. You spoke about the growth of this group. How much does that say about a team to start off as hot as they did, given how much struggles they had on the scoreboard heading in?
I think that's kind of just their character, where it goes back to what I was saying, where uh, there's games they're down 10 goals and they easily could have packed it in, but they never quit and they knew it was you know, their last few games as a group. And for some guys, minor hockey, moving on to junior, where, it just came down to leaving everything out there, making the most of it for the last time as a group. Um, and, you know, I just kept telling them it's all about who gets hot at the right time. And, they were confident. They put a lot of work in. And again, three in a row to start. And then Coeur d'Alene, they had a great, gritty team. And, they won, but, you know, our guys gave it their best. So it was great to see them go out the way they did. Obviously, everybody would have loved to win the last game of the year, but um, I couldn't be more proud of them.
No, for sure. And always so tough to win in that winner take all championship game, I'm sure. I mean, three Buffaloes programs making it two finals games this year, two of them falling short. I think this group has a lot to be proud about. And yeah, great moment for this team. You know, Trevor, you have a lot of coaching experience in this league. I'll get to you in a moment. But Anthony, you finish off about your second season here as Pilot Mound's coach. How have you felt like this season specifically, you were able to grow once again as a head coach?
I learned a lot, good and bad. If you're not learning, uh, you're not growing. And unfortunately, when you learn about certain things a certain way, it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's how you grow. So, whether it's bench management or um, disciplining or accountability, things like that, I learned a lot because some things get taken out of context, and it's easy to lose a room or a bench uh, with 17-year-olds pretty quickly. So bench management was a big one, which ties into the accountability and discipline, whether it's emotional penalties or myself getting carried away. Obviously, that was something I knew beforehand, but taking the right steps to actually address it rather than just say, "Oh yeah, I'll be better." So there was a lot of things where I was reading books on. I'm reading a book right now. It's called Out of the Box. So it's basically just about composure and things like that. So when it comes to what I learned, like I said, those things, but overall, I've actually learned a lot from Trevor already, but it's about being open-minded and um, different things like that where you got to look at it from a couple different angles rather than just being set in stone on one thing, where being open-minded allows you to try new things or, approach one kid differently than the other and things like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, I, I learned a lot more than I wish I did, but at the end of the day, I'm actually grateful that I learned as much as I did this year because it makes me more excited for next year. And, um, I think from the growth perspective of myself as a coach on and off the ice or on the bench or whatever it is, it just makes me really excited for next year. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's great to hear as well. I think for any coach out there that is looking to get better, keeping an open mind and being accepting of change, perhaps is I think a huge skill to end up building and having too. And it's great to hear that you're going to work already on that. Building up your knowledge, reading some books. That's great to hear. For you, Trevor, you coming to Pilot Mound Hockey Academy with experience in this league, just off the bat. I mean, my first question for you would be just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yep. So played pro hockey, played junior in Alberta. Um, Lots of traveling. So yeah, no, just the experience I've had in the CSSHL the last 4 years. I had a lot of good, great mentors around me, teaching me the little things on a daily basis, the growth of the players and growth as a coach. We demand a lot out of our players on a daily basis. We try and challenge them to make them grow. But on the other side, part like what Anthony was saying, if they're not challenging us, how are we supposed to grow? So those hiccups and those ups and downs are good tests. And I think that's what makes us better coaches is if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So it's how you react and how you can create those relationships and that culture in that dressing room. And the sooner you can do that with those players, the better everything is that I've learned so far.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, right? Putting that responsibility in the players' hands because the players at the end of the day are going to be the driving factors of your team's success or not, right? And how they improve and build. But you come from Okanagan Hockey Academy, there with such a, I guess, prestigious program. Tell me about, what you were able to take away more in depth from that culture specifically.
Just basically on a daily basis, you set the bar early for these athletes on and off the ice, um, and you have to hold them accountability. And I think that's the biggest thing is the accountability. Um, we're holding them accountable. So they have every right to hold us accountable to the discipline area or whatever. That's one of the things I really learned. It's not always about X's and O's. You know what I mean? It's a lot about just are you willing to do or try new things? And I think that comes down to the players. Some players, coming out of Bantams or whatever, they're this type of player, but when they get to that next level, sometimes you have to change and adapt. You're a first liner in U15 prep or, AAA. Well, if you're coming to U18, you might not be that, right? So you have to work with them and show them, how they can adapt to that. Um, and as they grow, from that third, fourth line, they're going to get back up there if they're that skilled and they're willing to do those things. And you just have to make them understand and realize that, it's a process. Not everything comes in right away. The big mistake I think a lot of players and families make is they have to make that big jump all the time. It always has to be to the top league where, it's where you're going to get the more ice time and the more playing time and the most experience for that development.
Yeah, and I think that's huge too, right? Not wanting like it's great to play in the big program, but I think yeah, like you said, getting the best opportunity for your kid where the right fit is going to be is huge responsibility too. I feel on the parents from that perspective. But coming to Pilot Mound, Penticton, British Columbia is where OHA is located. You come to small town Pilot Mound. Gordy Tummelson was actually on this call as both before we went live with this, and you were kind of speaking to Gordy about one of the reasons you came to Pilot Mound was just the growth that the program showed this season. I guess going to your decision for our viewers of why you chose Pilot Mound as that next place for you to coach in this league.
Yeah, so it comes down to, we challenge our players every day, our athletes, and I felt like this would be a good challenge for me with my skill set on the skill development. Um, I'm a guy that really creates good relationships with the players. When you can do that, you get a lot of buy-in. Um, just it was just a change I wanted to make. Um, Last 4 years, I've watched this program, and it's a lot of growth here, like huge, huge amount. And it's not it's a small little town, so it's recruiting's a little tougher, on that end, especially for the younger players. They're a lot farther away from home than just 3 hours if they're going to an Alberta academy from Calgary to Edmonton or whatever. We're a ways away. So um, I just like the whole program, the dorms, the gym, everything's first class here. The staff here, everybody we make the I've already felt I've only been here 2 weeks already, and I feel like part of the family. So just the whole culture thing, not I'm not even talking hockey stuff really right now. We're just talking behind the scenes stuff. It feels good to be part of it.
Yeah, and Pilot Mound, great small town. The community really invested in this academy, and they get some pretty big crowds out. And sometimes, the teams supporting each other is great to see. Anthony, with the experience that Trevor brings, and you spoke already about how he's, helped you through your process of, wouldn't be more open-minded when it comes to this whole coaching gig, but how huge has it been for him to be here these past 2 weeks, getting to know him as a part of your coaching staff now?
I think he came in at a really good time, a tough time, but a good time. Because there's no games and anything like that where, it's kind of allowing him to showcase what he does best, and that's the relationships with guys and the skills on ice and things like that. Where, if there's games going on, there's a lot of moving parts. It's scheduling and all the logistics part. But I think right now it's there's a lot more focus on the ice in the sense of developing those little habits, and I'm getting to see basically how his brain works and sees the game, which allows me to learn things that I may have known, but not to the extent of why, or, simple as how he addresses the players. Because that's a big part where something I do is I think we're both intense guys, but getting the message across rather than focusing on the tone to actually address something is one thing, but just understanding his hockey IQ would probably be the best way to explain it. And, hearing him explain certain things and learning in that sense, but also seeing him interact with the guys and still expecting that buy-in and compete and all those things. So just with our skill session right now, it's just skills 5 times a week. So we're always working on something new where let's just say it's board pickups. I have pretty standard drills, and then, he presents what he's got, and now I get to add that to my coaching book. So it's little things like that where they're all game-like situations, which is kind of my approach to the skill side as well. So learning in that sense, and then um, I guess just the interactions with the players, keeping that relationship, but also the divide of player coach, but understanding that the relationship needs to be built a certain way. And um, you can see it with the guys because he's been here a short time where, it's easy for them to brush people off, but, they're still showing up every day and respecting him and putting in the work and learning a ton where you can kind of see it transition into their game pretty quickly. So little things like that, just a again short amount of time where seeing guys that couldn't pick up a puck off the wall that are doing it with these right now. So little things, top to bottom, on and off the ice. It's just been great to see.
Right on, and great to hear that, for you, Trevor, your impact's been felt so far. I'll ask you a similar question to what I asked Anthony, but coming in through your 2 weeks so far, getting to know Anthony a bit in this short amount of time, and all things considered, how long, next season is going to be. But yeah, how have you felt, you two have been able to complement each other from your perspective so far?
Yeah, no, just I think just me coming in or you meeting someone new, um, like Anthony said earlier, you have to be very open-minded as a coach, because you have to learn too, right? And he's been very open-minded, and I think we think a lot similar on a lot of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the wording or the way he approaches or I approach is different. And you just have to be open-minded to take, you might not agree exactly, that's not the power play I want to run or the penalty kill. But if you get one thing from one of those, then you're growing as a coach and now you can adapt and make changes. Um, yeah, he's great with the guys. His strength and conditioning is awesome. His facility that he's got here and what he does with the guys is phenomenal. Um, Another reason why I wanted to be part of this, do you know what I mean? Because that's a huge part, especially in the long season, and seeing that growth. Um, he's fresh out of the pro game. Do you know what I mean? A couple years. So there's a lot of new stuff out there that, yeah, I've been around for a long time, but he's maybe can bring some more stuff that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really excited to learn on that side of systems and just the thought process and stuff like that. So so far it's been great. And I wish actually the season was starting next week, to be honest with you. It's that exciting right now. So we got some other business to take care of right now, of putting the team together. But once again, I think we're on the same page of what we're looking for, what we look like, what our identity will be, stuff like that. So it's an exciting time.
No, for sure. And yeah, you bring up, wishing the season started soon. It's funny enough because it'll probably be here before we know it, with how fast time truly does fly. But yeah, this program, Anthony, you guys held the ID camps, I guess 2 weekends ago now on Easter weekend. Some good talent came out from what I heard in my talks with Gordy. Yeah, tell us about, the takeaways from those camps. Could we be seeing any players from that camp specifically making the jump to playing on this team this season?
Yeah, there's some potential guys that could make the jump. Um, as much as we want the season to be here tomorrow, uh, guys have a long time to get ready. So a lot can change and just, we're still in April and the season doesn't start until October. So I think the thing we took away from camp is guys to keep our eyes on, where they got a couple more months to put some weight on, get a little faster, things like that. But it also just helps, kind of see where we're at, what we got, where we need to go. So yeah, there's some guys that could potentially make the jump, but again, it's only April, so Polinoski, he committed to Pilot Mound 2 years ago, and then he grew 6 inches. So little things like that, where guys that, oh yeah, you know what, he can skate like the wind, but little on the smaller stature. Well, he could come back 6'3" for all we know. So we're patient in the sense of making sure we're doing our due diligence and you know bringing in the best fit for our academy. Um, because I think one thing that we do agree on is you can't have 12 superstars. You need guys that are gonna do their jobs and do it the right way. So I think um, being patient but pursuing the right guys at the right time is kind of where we're at. And we got guys that we want to keep our eyes on, guys that we want to go after heavily, and then see where we go from there and where we're at from there. But I think the ID camp is great because I wholeheartedly believe that with our facilities and all the resources that we offer, it allows people to see what we're actually doing here and the direction that we're going and we have made strides towards. So overall, it's a great weekend. I think there was 46 kids, give or take. Um, but yeah, no, it was a good turnout.
Yeah, and that's great to hear that the turnout was so high this season. I agree with you on that. Actually getting these kids out, getting to give them a chance to see the facilities, practice, of course, at Blackjack Stewart Arena. That's huge. And that's also ridiculous that Polanowski grew 6 inches. I'm 5'6". I wish I had that growth spurt. Maybe things could have been a bit different for myself and in this good old sport of hockey that we all love. But for you, Trevor, coming from OHA, I feel like, from what you were talking about, you have some connections from what I've heard through the recruiting process. How valuable do you feel, I guess, your experiences and those connections are going to be for this program to potentially bring in some kids from places like the BC or places like Alberta, things like that.
Yeah, so it's just a different set of eyes, you know what I mean? I've been in that area with the hockey for over 10 years. So I've made a lot of connections with agents and advisors and stuff like that. I've also attended a lot of Alberta Cups and stuff like that. It's just seeing a lot of these players grow. Um, and it's huge, right? Like I said earlier, it's a little tougher to recruit out here because we're so far away. But like Anthony says, the program itself, the facility and everything sells itself. Um, we don't need 12 superstars. We need guys in the right fit, in the right situations, and guys that understand that they're not the top line and stuff like that. And we've just opened another window, I feel, here with me being able to get those guys from outside the area here, or thinking about coming here or getting to look at those guys. Um, we've already had a lot of conversations with guys that you'd probably never thought about thinking about coming here before. But now, we're in the talks with them now, you know what I mean? Which is great. Um, Lots of work to do yet. It's a process. But I think we're on the right track for sure.
Yeah, and plenty of time. Only April, of course, almost May, which, yeah, time flies pretty fast. I feel like April just started, but I'll leave it off with this question for Anthony. The program has seen immense growth alone in these past 2 years. Of course, I'm assuming the goal next season is to take that next step. What would that next step you feel like be for the U18 Prep Buffaloes?
I think going game by game. I think a big thing last year was setting the goal of saying, oh, we want to be in the, middle of the pack or top tier playoffs. But like Bakes has said, it's a process. And to just say, yeah, we want to make the playoffs, well, I think we stray away from the little details day in, day out that actually get you there. And I think focusing on those is actually what benefits you in the long run, where it doesn't happen overnight. It's again, workout by workout, practice by practice, game by game. Because if you look any further than that, you're forgetting about all the little details that go into it that make you successful as a team. Where if you just go, like I said, day by day, I think you're going to benefit from the growth of the players, the success of the program, and ultimately reaching your goal. But a lot of stops in between the start of the year and the playoffs. So I'm just gonna say the day by day. If you can win every day, um, and get these kids to focus on the in between. So yeah, they can work hard in practice and workouts, but getting them to buy in between all those. So are they eating right and doing all the little things and, you know, preparing them for that long-term goal in a simpler process where, it's not just, hey, we got 3 practices this week. It's, all right, Monday's a compete day or Tuesday's systems or whatever it may be. Just going day by day because I think keeping the 17-year-old kids grounded as much as you possibly can, um, you're going to get more buy-in where they're focused on that day rather than, you know, it's Monday, but we're playing two top teams Friday, Saturday, getting them to focus on the work we got to put in Monday through Thursday to be ready for those Friday night first jitters and things like that. So day by day, trusting the process and embracing the struggle of it, and seeing where it takes us.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to look at it. Every game is a chance to go 1-0 next season for this Buffaloes group that finished with a program record 8 wins this regular season, made it all the way to the Division II finals in the U18 prep program. What's next for them next year? Well, these two gentlemen gonna have a big part in that, playing a big role again next season as head coach Anthony Florentino will be back, as well as Trevor Baker joining the staff as an assistant coach. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me on this Monday night, and looking forward to seeing what you two can do at the helm together next season with this U18 group.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham.
And there you have it, final interview of our season 2 of this podcast. The Buffaloes podcast is Trevor Baker, new assistant coach of the U18 male prep program, and Anthony Florentino, their head coach, joining me on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Anthony, of course, just finished his second season with Pilot Mound as their head coach. Going to be really excited to see what he's able to do alongside Trevor and the group of Buffaloes he'll be guiding next year, whoever that may be out of the returnees, and of course the new players that this team is going to be adding in. But taking a look at the year he took over in 2023-2024, a season ago, they win 6 total games in the CSSHL, 2-win exhibition. This season, taking a look at the statistics, for this group, as we take a look at the roster and the stats officially, but 11 total CSSHL wins, it says, I guess, with playoff wins combined in there, as well as going 4-1 in exhibition/tournament plays. So, like Anthony talked about, players ended up having career years. Players like, Austin Polanowski, the biggest example of this, but signing off to play junior A hockey down in Saskatchewan with the Humboldt Broncos, right? And it was great to see, players too came over from overseas and other parts of the world to be able to, start their hockey career, get it moving in a direction where they're going to be able to play competitively beyond the U18 level at the junior or university level. Who knows for some of these kids, as there could still be signings that are going to be announced. But yeah, great job that Anthony and Tyler Dixon at the time was able to do with this group this season. Can't wait to see what Trevor as well as Anthony are able to do together next season with the players that are going to be returning. And yeah, we also, I think there's a very good chance to also see some U17 talent from this season jumping up to the U18 level next year too. But yeah, what a season it was for Pilot Mound Hockey Academy. As mentioned so many times, 3 out of their 4 teams make it into the championship games this season, and one of them coming away with a championship. They're second in program history for themselves in the U17s, winning for the first time since 2019-2020 when crazy enough, COVID ended up hitting shortly after that and kind of changed the course of how things were going at Pilot Mound for a short period of time, as COVID-19, that was something that affected the academy quite gravely, right? Because of, the travel restrictions and, players wanting to, or their families wanting to have their kids play more close to home in those years. And coming out of that, well, Pilot Mound has thrived, honestly, in their rebuild, getting stronger and stronger each year with all four of their teams as yeah, the U18 female group ended up being the only team not to win a playoff game this year, so now they have something to strive for next year, taking a look at how the other teams ended up doing, right? But I got uh, some high expectations, honestly, of what that team is going to bring in for talent next season, how those players returning next year are going to make that impact in another season in Pilot Mound. And yeah, all teams look like they're heading in the right direction. A big part of that, Nicole Collins and the Collins family doing the work they've done, and everyone else involved in Pilot in the right direction in their 10-year anniversary this year. Having a lot of successes. And in year 11 coming up next year, well, what's in store for this Buffaloes group, all four of the teams in the academy? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Until next year, for everyone here at G Show Productions, myself, Graeme, the G Show Forsyth, I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in all season long and tuning into our coverage if you're a new viewer here, thank you for tuning into the season 2 finale as well. Subscribe and turn on notifications, leaving a like, they all help the channel. But yeah, they'll also help you stay up to date if you turn on notifications and subscribe now of when future episodes of the Buffaloes podcast will be coming out, which will be next season, starting up in September again. Thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring us for another season in Mid-Canton Fasteners and Tools, Terrico Goaltenders, as well as to a new sponsor in Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. Thank you to all of the guests for tonight's episode as well, and Nicole Collins, Gordy Tummelson, times two, Anthony Florentino, Trevor Baker, as well as Alex Mills and Julia Schoonbart. Congratulations to Pilot Mound Hockey Academy on another successful season, maybe one of their most successful in their program's history. One of them for sure, I'd say. Until next season, Buffaloes Nation, when we see more great things happen and get to cover that all again in 2025, 2026 for 2024, 2025. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Graeme the G Show Forsyth signing off now, giving you the peace out, waving so long. Enjoy the offseason, everybody. The Stanley Cup playoffs as well. Getting fired up for this Jets game. That is going to be coming up. We're going to be taking that all in. We hope you all take in these moments of quietness as well, as before we know it. Well, we'll be back to covering hockey nonstop once again. Tyson Unruh, Juno Award winner, going to take us away with his March of the Buffaloes theme song. Take care, everybody. And what I believe is our longest Buffaloes podcast ever. I want to thank you for tuning in once again.